I have a lot that I'm ready to hear. So let me just get on into it. So, hey, loves, welcome
Hey,
to
hey.
School. It's your girl, Queen A. And so we have a lovely guest here today. Now, I got to tell y'all ain't had nothing sweeter than what we got on this podcast today, right? Because nothing is sweeter than honey. Okay, I just want to tell y'all that. So today we have a lovely coach in the house. She's going to talk to us about her journey of getting to where she at, teach y'all some things about money and just all that and above. So before we go further and with anything, and I want to introduce Miss Coach Honey. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Queen A?
Oh,
Hey, man. Feeling good, huh?
yes.
I know that's right. I know that's right. I know that's right. Life is good.
Hey,
Like,
give it a
listen,
big
life is
time.
always sweet when you add some honey in the mix. Listen, life is sweet when you add honey. I'm just saying. Actually, I'm not saying. I'm not just saying. I am saying. Life is sweeter when you add some honey.
Yes, yes, indeedy. So now tell us, how did you come up with that saying right there that life is sweeter when you add honey? Because we know that, but how did you come up with that for your line, especially for what you teach? Most people would not have that name for what you teach, and we're gonna get into that. But how did you come up with that line?
Well, let's back up for a second. So I won't take no credit for it. So I was just say, like, God is giving me that. But what he's giving me is actually it stems from, if I could just really go Bible for a second, it's Proverbs 24:13 through 14, the NLT. And it says, My child, eat the honey. And so
Mm,
the honey is sweet to the taste. It's good for the soul. Just like wisdom is sweet to the soul. When you find wisdom, you'll have a bright future and your hope will not be cut off. That is the quote, that's the scripture right there. And that right there has just launched everything, the book, everything for honey. And honey is sweet. Honey is the word. Honey is life. Honey is joy. Like he was dancing, that's joy. That's honey. That means it's honey in the mix. There's no bitterness. And so the honey is to drive out bitterness and brokenness and hurt and pain. And so that's why I say life is sweeter when you add honey because it dries out all that. You can't have honey and bitterness. It can't dwell there. You can't have joy and sadness. You end up having more joy. And so that joy is going to rise up in the midst of any kind of pain or heartache. Joy is going to rise up and it's going to overtake you. Same thing when it comes to honey. So it's a play on words, but it's actual truth. It's like life is sweeter when you add honey because the bitterness, unforgiveness, things like that cannot dwell there when you add honey there. It just kind of drives it out. I go deeper into a lot. I go so deep with you, girl, because this thing is
hey,
is
I,
in me.
Hey, I love it. I love it, because so y'all, for y'all that don't know, I add honey to my tea every AM. So every AM when I get up, I'm adding honey to my tea. So I truly believe that life is sweeter when you add some honey in it,
Oh, yeah.
When I heard her say that, I want to know what made her come up with that line because that is a very catchy line, you know.
And that one too. And so that one is not my major tagline. That's why I'm starting to use that one. Life is sweet when you add honey. I'm starting to add that one. But the original tagline is you accomplish much and you go further with honey than vinegar.
Mm.
That's the one. And as far as the money goes, is I put the honey in the money. That's where that one comes from.
Okay, I put the honey in the money. I like that again. See, why you forgot that one? I gotta tell you, I really think that life is sweeter when you add honey. That
Yeah.
sticks because even you had to think of the first one. You was like, but with that, life is
Like
sweet and honey. It's like right there, it rolls out the tongue. So I
it
love
rolls.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about how did you even come up with the name Coach Honey?
Actually, I didn't even come up with it. It was actually another coach, and she's a confident coach, and so she's a confident aider. I think it's how you say how she says the name for her. But however, she's someone who I know, and I have released a book, and it was called "Release the Honey Within You." So that's where it comes from, the book. So release the honey within you, the book, and then it was 7 keys to beautify the overly aggressive to become a virtue honeybee. That's our book. It's on Amazon and whatnot. Go on the website and get it as well. And so she just began to call me Coach Honey. And before you know it, I embraced it. And then before you know it, people started saying it around us and it just caught on. I began to introduce myself as that. because I just embraced it. I fully embraced it. I liked it. You know, I was like, okay, Coach Honey, I like that. Coach Honey, all right. And it just caught on. I mean, it's caught on. Folks called me that. They don't even call my name no more. They said, "What's up, honey? What's up, Coach Honey?" I was like, "You know my name? No, I know Coach Honey."
I like that. I
It
like it.
caught on, but I embrace it. I embrace it for all that people said and endearment, the love they said in business. They called me Coach Honey. It has, because I was a little nervous about that coming into this world of finance. People say Coach Honey, but it has really caught on. Even my mentor, he said, "You should change your name from Coach Honey to Coach Money." I said, I said,
Like
okay,
that.
I received that. But
Which
yeah,
one
but
you
I
like
enjoyed it.
better?
I'm sorry.
Which one you like better?
Well, honey, because I like because of the root of it, the meaning of it. So the background, the money would come, but the honey is sacred. Is important.
I like
Yeah,
that. I
yeah.
like that. So tell us a little bit about where you from. So I talked to you before, and so I know one of your values is family,
Yes.
family and clarity. So tell us a little bit about where you're from, where you're located at now, and why you value family and clarity.
Well, I'm originally from East Chicago, so Indiana side, right on the borderline of state line of Chicago. So I'm really close to Chicago. Got a lot of media, worked in Chicago, shop played, all that in Chicago is right there on the borderline. So those of you who are from that way, you know what I'm talking about. It's like straight up borderline, state line separates us, right? Then I moved to Indianapolis. I lived there when I was married for a period of time, not very long, because my ex-husband's job took us to Cincinnati, Ohio, where I spent nearly 11, almost 11 years in Ohio. Cincinnati, to be exact.
Cincinnati, give it up, y'all. It's like, no.
Cincinnati. And so I lived in the Cincinnati area, so with northern area there, which was like Westchester area where I lived. But however, Cincinnati repped. And I lived there. And so now I live presently in Arizona. I live just outside of Phoenix. I live in Chandler. I just moved here. Like I'm a foreigner in this land here. But I enjoy it. It's beautiful here. It's tropical. To answer your question about family and clarity is important to me. Family, for one, because everything starts with family. Nothing expands, nothing is built upon unless the family structure is right. I'm a firm believer in that. When I was married before, that was something that I value, but I didn't put enough value in it. And so if you are like I'm driven, focused, determined to be successful, want to be successful, have passion to be successful, walk in purpose, walk in my calling, identity, and all those things. I was more driven and focused on my goals and ambitions in life, and I will sometimes neglect my family. So family is important. So that's why, like, I travel now. My youngest son comes with me. I do different things. I make sure I incorporate my family. Because I was not saying that was the reason for my divorce. I think but that played a part in it. So I think that was not the whole picture. No, not by any
No.
stretch of imagination. But family is important. And so I'm big on talking about families. Even now in business, I'm focused a lot on empowering families. I share my story and I also go back to help families. So families are always important. Having a strong family creates a strong business. So if you want to be successful in life, if your family life is out of order, trust me, that business will not sustain because family has to be in order for anything else to breathe, live, succeed, and have longevity, because that's the foundation. So that's one of the reasons why family is important to me. Really, it is. There's other reasons I can say, of course, but that is the main thing.
No, no,
And
that's
the clarity on that I had gotten is because I realized that, dang, I messed up. I need to do better. And then I have that clarity and understanding. My job is to go back and provide that to others and help others with that. So that's the clarity is important, because without clarity, if you don't have clarity, you can walk in and fall. How you don't know where to go? How you don't know what to do if you don't have clear vision? You be stumbling. And so to avoid stumbling, we need clarity. And it's important to get more and more clarity so everything is clear and concise so you know which way to go. So yeah, that's why I value those things.
And y'all know me as a clarity coach. Y'all know I can't help but, I got to give my ups to when she said clarity, But also, so I want to touch on something you said. So I didn't even know you went through a divorce. So at first
Mm-hmm.
off, I want to commend you for, going, having the confidence to even get through that and still sit here and smile. Because there's some people that, just a breakup, keep them like stagnant forever. So I want to commend you on that. But I also want to ask you, can you give some people out there that might want to be coaches, that might want to be anything. I don't care if they want to, be a better lawyer, right? But can you give
Right.
kind of things you did to keep yourself confident when you was going through a divorce?
Oh, the divorce. So the divorce is where that's where the book has come from, because things I've learned post the divorce. So I went through what I call the hard knock life. So I say I'm a big person who believes in self-reflection. So one thing you get about me is that Shantae is going to ponder and reflect on her day. What could she have done better? What could she have said better, done better? I'm big on that. So I went through a period after my divorce where I went through what I would call the humbling phase. In my book, I talk about this quite extensively about my part. Now, there's things he done and did, and I didn't address that. Because at the end of the day, when you want to grow and be a better person, you always want to work on yourself. So I did some deep, I went through a humbling process. I mean, it was not pretty. But however, that was my deliverance and that was my healing journey. And so the book talks about that, and the book picks up from that point. So when I allow myself to grow as a person, that's when I can be healed. That's when there was no bitterness, no hurt, no anger, no resentment. None of those things was able to bear fruit once I got myself delivered. So I would tell anybody when the joy comes because I've been healed. The joy comes as I'm delivered, I'm set free. Like I don't have that. So I can freely talk about those things. That's why you say, well, you went through the divorce, you smiling. Yeah, but it wasn't always like that because I didn't know how to be by myself. So I went through a single mom phase. Like I'm single. Like, oh my goodness, I got kids. I'm a single mom. Like, oh Jesus, help me. Like I went through that phase. I did, because at the end of the day, divorce is it's a death. It really is. It's like two people who were in covenant now, and you sometimes you feel it right away, sometimes you don't. With my story, I felt it well after, and I was one who initiated the divorce. But I felt it afterwards, like, oh my goodness, I'm by myself. I don't know how to be by myself. Like I'm so used to someone else being there with me. And that was a struggle for me. That was not easy. So that's why I have a compassion and for women who go through divorce, who come into now they single. Maybe they don't go through divorce, maybe just be a widow. And they just by them, their husband is no longer here. My heart goes, because I know that process, that journey. And it's hard, even though you have people around you and they support you, they love on you, it's a process you got to walk through. You just have to go through it. So I went through that period. I went through that. Yeah, I did. And I'm grateful for that journey because I lean on the Lord a lot. I did. And give me joy, give me strength. And, sometimes I struggle financially. I went through I went through a financial slump, and slump. I mean, down in the gutter, slump. And I just remember, like, wow, like how do we get out of this? And so, I mean, I remember those days. Like, it ain't that far back though. Like, I can't remember. It's only 2025. My divorce was finalized 10 years ago. And but I remember the journey I went through. And then a book came about a few years later. And by that point in time, when the book came about, I was joyful. I was joyful. I stayed in the presence of the Lord. I just allowed myself to be worked on. Like I kind of did like one of these numbers. And that's something I would tell any woman out there, any man for that matter, is do one of these, surrender and allow the Lord really take over and have his way in you and through you and around you. And that's how I had joy. I never smiled as much as I smile. And I smile and I smile. And that is good. I smile. I've never smiled like this before. Not to this degree.
Well, you have a great smile. Let me add.
Thank you. Thank you, sis.
And I'm just listening to you say that because as I'm listening to you say that, I'm going through it right now. My daughter, she finds her place in herself in a space where she's not comfortable being alone. Kind of going through like a breakup. So that's why I asked you, like, what tips you have for them. Because I'm like, how did you get over that? Because I mean, you was with, your husband way longer than my daughter was. She's only 19, so she's
right.
So hers just been months, and so that's why I was asking that question because it's a lot of young women. We don't, we all been through a heartbreak, but everybody's is different. So that's why.
Right. And then one thing too, I would say to your daughter, anyone who's young, just any woman, no matter how old they are, but you may be alone. You may be alone, but you're not lonely. And that was so powerful for me to always remember that.
Can you explain that for somebody who don't understand that?
So alone, so when I say when I say you are alone, I mean it's just you there, right? It's just
Right.
you alone. So nobody in the house with you, nobody's going out to dinner with you, you just you alone. But you're not lonely. Lonely means you're longing for something, and really at the end of the day, God is with you. So really you're having it alone because God is with you. But physically it's just you by yourself. Even though you may have the Lord with you, so He's there with you. But you're not lonely. That means you're longing for something. It's a sadness. Oh, by myself, I'm so alone, I'm so lonely. And it's not the case. You're not. And so sometimes people go through breakups or divorce or heartache. They feel lonely. They feel like they just it's something missing. It's a void missing. And so you want to make sure that void is not filled up with any and everything, and just realize that hey, no, you may be alone, but you're not lonely. You have people who around you. You have family. You have friends. The Lord is with you. You've been strengthened. It's okay to go out by yourself. This too will pass. And the thing, why did the relationship end? Sometimes we get stuck on what we miss out on, but remember, why do we end? Was it a healthy relationship? Was it fruitful? Was this person making me sad? So we almost gotta have to walk almost like a reality check. That's why you need good friends who gonna love you, but they're gonna tell you the truth in love. Say, girl, I know you said, but he really wasn't right for you. He was cheating on you, or he was not he was mistreating you. He didn't care for you. So you're going through a withdrawal of not having an infection that you once got, and that's what you're missing. And now you're not getting that. And it's okay to say that. See, one thing I learned is be honest with myself. Because when you're honest with yourself, say, I miss somebody hugging me. And then you say, you know what? I don't have nobody hug me. Lord, hug me. And then watch how you get comforted. Watch how you get held. Watch how those who come around you just love on you. And you be like, and you receive that, it'll warm your heart. Because that's what your heart needs. That's why it's longing. That's why it's like that. Because it's a void missing. But when you allow that void to get filled, not by what you want, but what you need, and it comes through others, like you said, your daughter. If it comes through you, she'll be open to receive it from you or whoever that comes in that's right for her. So that's what I would say. But that's something that I had to learn, and I had to walk that out. And she needs some time, give her space, but love on her and what she can receive, and then and whoever, like somebody else, I'm coaching through. As a matter of fact, she's in her 30s, and she moved out of state to be with someone else, and that relationship ended when she got out of state to be with this person. And so she is going through what you're talking about. So she's going through a break. So he broke it up, and and she's going through that period where she's missing him. And I get that. We all go through that. That's human nature. We all do. But at the end of the day, I was reminding her, I said, remember what you're called to do right now. So it's like I had to be a sounding board in her ear, say, hey, you got great things ahead of you. You got a new chapter in your life that's happening right now. Things are really looking up for you. Business is starting to bloom for you. Things that you prayed for is now being answered. And sometimes people could be a distraction for purpose.
Right.
They ain't right for you. They may need to be scattered. So, however, so I reminded her those things in love, and she received that. I invited her to her event. And she said, thank you, because I needed that to get my mind off of that person.
Right.
And so I invited her to the event, and she came, and she was there to the end. And so that's what I would say to anybody. That's a long one to answer, but there's a lot of different things, depending on the person, the situation, you can go deeper. But that's what I would say to your daughter or anyone else.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it because there's a lot of young women out there that need to hear that, because I'm mom, so you know how it is when mom say something. So, sometimes they got to hear it from other people. So I appreciate you, taking that time, right? So, and then not your story is not my story. You get what I'm saying? So your
Right.
story is more similar to hers as I was listening to you. You get what I'm saying? So she'll hear your story and like that sounds like me. So that's why I kind of asked that. But one of the things you talked about was we talked about the biggest lesson that 2025 has taught you so far. And so you said empowering your team, they're empowering their spirit. So can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah. Okay. So we had an event in Dallas, Texas, just recently back in July, and when I came back, it was like a reality check because at the end of the day, you can rise up and you can be successful, but what about your team? What about other people? It's something to say about somebody who can build a success for someone else. Have you ever heard? How many people you know that They are millionaires and they help other people be millionaires.
It ain't that many of them.
Ah, it's not that many of them, right? Exactly.
Ain't that many of them. You
There
see,
ain't that
like,
many. A lot of them will build themselves up, but how many can go back and build other people?
mm-hmm.
And so that's why when I came back from that event, I said that's how I need to be.
Mm.
I not only do it for me, but I need to help make sure my team gets that. And
that's
why I said that that's one of the biggest things I learned. And that was one of my biggest takeaways is that how can I build my team up? How can I build them up? It's one thing, you see, people try to put you on a pedestal, put you up here. Say, oh, look at Shantae, look at this person here. They're doing this, doing that. But no, it's something to say, look at my team, look at everybody else. It's not I come up, we all come up.
That part.
Yeah, that part. Like we all come up. Like that was like, yeah. So I'm on this big push to help my team come up. That's why I'm at. And then we all come up.
Hey, I love that.
That's a big lesson. That's a big thing for me. And I'm like, that's my heart is there. Truly it is.
And take that from Coach Honey, y'all. I think everybody's learned that this year, 2025, especially with everybody starting businesses online and here and doing there, everybody's starting a business. So I think everybody should incorporate that into their business, empowering your team, uplifting your team, making sure because you're only as strong as your team. And I'm sure Coach agree with that, right? You only are as strong as your team is. So if your team is weak, so will you eventually be. So I'm loving it. So now I have to ask, I asked you the funniest failure story you now thank the universe for. And you talked about, which is something I think a lot of people have experienced, but maybe just not in the way you have, and maybe not for that long. You said being homeless for 5 months. And I want to really talk to you about that. Like, what caused you to be homeless? What, through that, what was you thinking? And how did you even just keep yourself uplifted enough to even get through that? How did it not become a lifelong journey?
Okay. So I say this with the backstory of for some of y'all who don't know this, my background is human resources. So before I got into entrepreneurship, I worked in corporate, right? For human resources for nearly 2 decades. And however, I had worked a job, got to Ohio, married, got divorced within a year later. I told you after my divorce, my finances took a nosedive. It just went down the toilet. Up and down roller coaster ride. And so I would get into working, I lose my job, get back into work and lose my job. And the job would just end. They would downsize, they would just cut back, budget cuts. I mean, it was just like the bizarrest thing ever. And it was like, man, I'm new to this state. What the heck is going on here? And I'm divorced, I'm a single mom, 3 kids, and then a grandbaby, my granddaughter. And so I'm like, what is going on? And so, however, that went on for maybe about 4 or 5 times within a 10-year period. So you can just imagine. But in that time, I said, maybe I should start my own business. So about 3 years or so until being here in Ohio, I got my own LLC, so our professional consulting, which is my personal business. And then I had started coaching. So I got into coaching, didn't know how to do it. One of the lessons I learned too, by the way, along the journey, didn't know how to run a business. I just had a heart to start a business, be an entrepreneur. I'll call myself a high class volunteer, not getting paid. I was high class. That means I had an LLC. That means high class. But I wasn't paid. I was making no money. But however, I built those relationships, which that was valuable, which that was important. However, I'll get into doing that, get back into working. The thing about it, see, this is a lesson. This is the beginning part of the lesson. I wasn't getting that I was called to entrepreneurship. So I was dealing with a little bit of self-doubt, a little insecurity, a little self-esteem in a sense, because remember, I was beginning my healing journey. So I'm in this business. So that's why I saying, when you know yourself, when you allow yourself to just be dealt with, when you allow yourself to be healed, delivered, that man, I'm telling you see things differently. I was going through a healing process, started my business around the same time, back and forth, out of work, in work, out of work, in work, out of work, back and forth like a yo-yo. However, the business thing wasn't panning out. I needed mentorship. That's why I always recommend side notes. Any entrepreneur out there, you need a mentor. Don't think you don't need a mentor. You need somebody who can hold you accountable. And I don't mean a mentor you just call every now and then. I mean a straight up, showed up mentor, bona fide mentor. I didn't have that. And so I really know how to run a business. I didn't know what the heck I was really doing. Fast forward, pandemic. Now in the pandemic years, the pandemic started about 2020, March 2020. I'm out of work again. This one was on my own fault. I'm out of work because I left too soon. So that means the job was about to end because they was about to merge. And I said, I'm just going to just leave and just start something else. Well, the pandemic came and I ain't started nothing else again. My LLC was just sitting there collecting dust. Got to working. I got to working. I stayed home. They have income coming in. They couldn't evict people because they shut things down. So nobody can lose their place. I ended up coming out of the pandemic. The people started back work. I got a job back. Started back working. And I worked for almost 2 years on that job. Did very well for a station downtown, media company. Did very well, exceptionally well. Made darn good money. I got paid very well. I mean, they paid me pretty good. I was very happy. Got a new place, moved with my boys. Time is over. Years have passed. Well, however, that job ended. Once again, there's my story. Another job ended. I'm being promoted. I've been promoted on jobs, promoted in business, promoted in what the heck? How do I get back in this situation? My friend at the time said, "Hey, Shantae, if you need a place to stay, you come stay with me." I said, "No, I'm a grown woman. I'm gonna stay with nobody. Let me have my own place." Cried. That was in March 2000. That was in March 2023, just over 2 years ago. And I said, okay. At that point, I had nowhere else to go. And I did not get another job. However, the Lord put in my heart, you should start by coaching again. And that's when I got connected with Dr. Simon Stribling. There's another story, but that was a blessing. That was God sent. There's a whole story behind that whole, how that all played out. But it got me, that's what a book came birthed out of. I started traveling, speaking. Everything stemmed on me going out. In the midst of me being homeless now, technically homeless, even though I'm living with a friend, I'm technically homeless. I went to New York City, spoke and became best speaker. And I'm not. No one's knowing that I don't have my own place. I started back coaching. I wrote the book. I didn't have my own space. Me and my two sons stood and slept in a 1-bedroom. She had a townhouse. She only had 3 bedrooms, one for her and one for her daughter. My 2 boys and I slept in the same room. Shared the same bed, a small little room. It was only big enough for a full-size bed. So my queen size bed took up the majority of the space, so it wasn't much place to get around in the room. And we slept in there 5 months. And it was the hardest thing. My son was in high school and my youngest son was in elementary. Very, 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 very hard time for me. Lot of talk about some humility. Yeah, that was a very humbling process for me. And I wrote the book. And I remember going to the park because I needed write a book. I wanted my own space to think. And I would drive to the park. And I would sit in the park for hours sometimes and write the book. So that book, released the honey. That's why I say about the honey. We add honey because it take it dry bitterness out. Oh, I mean that thing. I'm a witness of that thing.
Literally.
And so every day I write the book, it would drive out that bitter. It would drive out hurt, sadness, depression couldn't stay. Anxiety couldn't live there because I was talking about honey. So it was almost like an antidote to what my actual reality was going through. So it was carrying me through. It carried me through. And when I was done with that book, it got published. I moved out the following month later. So and I wrote that book. When I started to write the book, it was end of May. End of April. I'm sorry, end of May. Well, I started writing the very late end of April and being very focused and consistently started writing early May. And I gave myself a deadline that I'd be done in 30 days. I was done at the end of May with the book, and I had to revise chapter 2, and I went back in there and I revised it. I was done by June 4th. I came back from Atlanta. Someone recommended me to speak in New York City. And I say that to say all that. It said, even in the midst of trials, God will bless you if you stay faithful. And so how I get in that season is I kept praying and I kept asking for joy. And I remember just asking always for joy because it was so sad at times. And I asked for joy, joy, joy. And I get up, I'll go to church, and no one ever knew. I'll tell my best friend, No one knew that I was going through what I was going through. I continued to smile. I continued to have joy. I continued to have peace. And that's how I got through that season. I wrote the book and moved out. So that was 5 months. I had to live with my friend, and I had to keep my head high, and I did. Some people in the media family knew that I was living with her, that I had my own place. So, yeah, that's how I got through with joy, and I stayed focused, even in the midst of all that was going on, all the things I was dealing with. Because I remember before I got there, I was driving. I was driving at night, and sometimes I would do like little Uber and DoorDashing and stuff. I remember I was doing DoorDashing prior to me moving with my friend. So this is prior to, I didn't even know that was going to happen. And I think I must have had an encounter because I remember saying, there's no shame. I will not be ashamed. I just like burst out. I'm driving the car. I just like burst out like, whoa. Even I was shocked my own self, like, whoa, where did that come from? But I was so convicted of it that I would not be ashamed. It was like a conviction came over me. So when I lived with my friend, even though that was a hard time, there was a level of conviction I had that I won't be ashamed. Y'all can't shame me. I don't care who find out. You can't shame me. So that was an encounter I had to prepare me for that journey that I was going to go through, to not be ashamed, to hold my head up high, even in the midst of that was my process. So everyone has a process. Sometimes you try to skip process. We don't want to go through process. Process ain't fun. It ain't pretty. It ain't nothing pretty about a process. But it was for my calling, my purpose. It was preparing me for what I'm in now. It was preparing for the season I'm walking in now. But I had to go through a humbling process before I can get exalted. You got to be humble. So I went through that, and I kept my head high, and I called myself trying to be faithful to God who allowed me to go through that season. So that was how I endured that season.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's amazing. And so, one, I just got to ask you, first off, like, that's amazing. A lot of people can't go through that and, and come through as Coach Honey, let's say that, you know. So I don't know too many people that can. So a lot of people can't do that and come through as you. And a lot of things, I asked you a question. It's something that a lot of people don't know about you, and it kind of aligns with this. And you told me something that's real sentimental to you. So I'll kind of let you take over and let the people know what you said. I'll let you tell them. So, what is something that most people don't know about you?
What I share with you is the fact, and what came to my mind was the fact I had an abortion. So I had abortion right after my first child, my daughter. So I got pregnant. I was a teenage mom, getting pregnant. My senior year of high school, I had her, my daughter. And in my senior year of high school, I got pregnant again after I just had her my senior year of high school. So I was about to graduate, and I ended up getting pregnant. And I was on birth control, and I with my daughter's father, and didn't know I was even pregnant, to be honest with you. I took birth control, but however, I went to the doctor and he said I was pregnant, and I remember crying. I was so devastated. I said, "Oh my goodness, I'm taking a baby. I just got a baby. I'm only in high school, like this and that." I wanted to go to college and all this stuff. And so when I realized I couldn't go to college because I had a child not far away, I was like, "How am I going to get another baby? Just had one. She ain't but a few months old. My daughter was only but literally a few months old. I mean, literally. I don't think she was 6 months old, maybe 6 months. But however, and so they had talked to me and they said that doctors said, well, we don't know if the baby will come out deformed. It was more of a fear. And when I shared my story for the first time 2 years ago, I remember saying that, it was like a fear that really propelled me to go to have an abortion. And I remember having that abortion and felt really bad as I got older. Like I never told my kids. My kids didn't know until just recently, 2 years ago, when I came out publicly and shared it to the world. My kids didn't know. So I have two other my boys that came later on. So I was telling you I have 4 children, one in heaven. And I carried a lot of shame, a lot of shame, a lot of embarrassment. I repented. I cried out. Like I couldn't believe that. Because I'm pro-life, and I don't make no apologies about that. I'm not pro-choice. I'm pro-life, 100%. And but even though I did something that was pro-choice, right? Uh, but I didn't realize the impact that it had on my daughter. I remember telling you that I'm thinking that, you know, because I'm healed, I'm ready to share it with the world because God has delivered me and I received forgiveness. And for a while, I asked God for forgiveness, but I wasn't forgiving myself. And so when I shared with my children, particularly my daughter, because she would have had a sister right pretty much neck and neck. They would be what you call Irish twins or something like that. Like they would be the same age, probably maybe or close to it. And so she took it very hard. Like I was very, very surprised that my daughter took it hard. I didn't think that through. So that was a very selfish thing for me to abort a child, not realizing how that's going to impact the siblings that either come before or after. Because my daughter was the one first, and she took it very hard. That, you know, like, Mom, you got, you know, I had a sister. I believe it was a girl. I really believe it was a girl, and wholeheartedly, I believe it was a girl. And she would say, "That was my sister, and you just took her, and you didn't, you know." So I had to deal with that, and we had to work through that. That was something that I didn't anticipate. When I decided to tell them, I think they'd probably be shocked and like, "What?" Because I never gave any hint of it. It was never talked about. My mother never talked about it. It was just swept under the rug. It was just swept under the rug. Nobody knew until I began. Had a conviction to share, and it was funny because I would tell anybody, even if I was forgiven, I forgave myself. I just thought it would be something that I wouldn't tell. But all of a sudden, 2 years ago, I just had a thing in my heart to just share with people. I'm saying it wasn't 2 years ago. We were out at a steak restaurant, eating a couple of friends of mine, and I just remember just sharing with them that I felt. No, it wasn't. Well, a woman came over and introduced herself. She heard us talking, and she was like, "Oh, I feel the presence of the Lord here," and I sat over and introduced myself. So she just came over and introduced herself to us, not knowing who she was or anything. So we were just talking and just in the ministering to one another. And I began to share because I felt compelled maybe 2, 3 days prior to begin to share my story. It was almost as if I was having a conversation with the Lord, and I know I was. And I was just talking like, yeah, I'm going to say this, I'm going to ask about this or that. Like I was just almost like rehearsing it in my head in a sense. But I knew God was really prepping me, you know. And I knew that in the back of my mind, but I didn't know the details of how it's going to play out, right? It just something's happening. Because usually when I'm about to do something major, it's almost like I have a dress rehearsal prior to it, in a sense. A spiritual dress rehearsal. So, however, so I began to just share with them, and her too. I said, yeah, you know, I feel the need to share that I had abortion. Now, these group of women had known about it. I had just told them. Some of them, they didn't know the details. So I'm just telling this woman who I just met and these group of women I'm with about it. I said, yeah, I said, the Lord put in my heart to really begin to share my story. Now, not knowing this woman who's in front of me does has this what you want to call it? That series that she does, like what you call it on Instagram? I'm trying to blank. OMG.
That's
She has
okay.
a podcast
Well,
style, a series of something she does where she is called Speak Life. And her name is Krista, and that's her name. And so she does this podcast or this I guess you could say podcast, not a podcast, but I don't know, it's like what I'm looking
um,
like you know, like a series, like it's not like a sitcom, a talk show, but something where she has like
like a
weekly
mini series.
taping.
She's doing teaching,
Yeah, yeah,
training.
and she does on her YouTube channel. Yeah, she does on her YouTube channel. And so, however, so she had an opening that she's been doing this for years, where people come and share when they have abortion or miscarriages. Women share their story to encourage other women who have gone through loss or has had abortion to get a chance to share their story. And she takes them on a retreat at her in Ohio. It's up by Middletown, not Middletown, but by college, Miami University, Oxford. And she put them up there for a weekend. They out of state. She fly them in on her expense. She fly them in and take us out to dinner, have a pampering weekend, love on us. I mean, it's just a whole thing that a ministry God has given her. So I didn't know who she was. I'm just sharing my story. And she would say, oh my goodness, I just got a message this week of a person who's supposed to be on my show, who was to be a guest on here. She cannot go and share her story. And I said, really? And I said, and she was like, how would you feel to be on here? Now, remember I told you, I felt like I was about to share the story in some kind of major way. All of a sudden, like all these years later, it was like an overwhelming desire in my heart that I'm about to share my story, and I gotta be okay with sharing and share with confidence. And I just began to share. She took us out the weekend. I was able to bring a friend with me for some emotional support. And she, we traveled out there. They gave us reimbursement on our gas. We live in Ohio, so they just gave us gas reimbursement and took us out to dinner. And then we went, they pampered us, had somebody come and do our makeup and our hair. That next day we were on camera. It was so well planned and so well thought out. I mean, it was just, wow. Like, so it was almost like we've been redeemed. And so that was the love of the Father, letting us know that we've been redeemed and we've been totally forgiven. And now it's our responsibility to go out there and love other women who have been through that and let them know that God is merciful. And they don't have to choose that route. You know what I'm saying? So it was a way to say, don't choose that route. There's another way, and there's people who are willing to help you. And so that's what it was about. So that was amazing. So, yeah, so I have shared that story now and talked about it. Story time's over. So, yeah, that's how most people didn't know about me. I don't advertise it, don't get me wrong, but I don't deny it and I don't hold back in my process of my healing process today.
Yeah. And that story, that's a powerful story. You shouldn't hold back. That's part of your story. And a lot of women need to hear that. Like your story just overall is things that a lot of women go through. And just to see you being so vibrant about it and so excited and, and just to see where you are on your journey, that's why it was meant for you to share. Like you said, you shared it one time, ended up having to share it to the world because the world needed to hear it at that
Yeah,
time.
because I was like, whoa, I wasn't planning on seeing like that. Like, but God,
I knew I was gonna share it in a big way, but hold on, like
I know, like, man, like I didn't tell people in my church, like they didn't even know. We're like, whoa, like so it was like, man, we know about Shanta because it was just something I just didn't discuss and didn't feel need to discuss, and didn't think I ever discussed again. And so for me to be able to talk about it's that's why I say one thing, when you heal, when you talk about something freely, and it does not bring pain or sorrow. That means you really allow yourself to be healed. Not saying you can't be sad about it. I know I see my child again. I know I see my daughter in heaven, and I know she's with the Lord and she's learning and she's growing. I mean, and that was something that I thank God when I got healed and gave myself. That's when those revelations came. For all those years, I never got anything, but when I went to her, and I think she encouraged me to seek the Lord about who was this child that I aborted. That you can ask the Father, He'll give you revelation of who that child was and what they're doing and what they're learning. And so I said, oh, and then she encouraged me to name my child. It was beautiful. I mean, when I say that was a retreat of truly healing, any residue that was left was gone. And so, yeah, I named her and everything, gave her a name.
Can we hear the name?
Yeah, so I named her Emerald. They say Emerald. I say Emerald. Emerald is for one. It's for yes. So and that's my favorite color is emerald green. So I wear a lot of green. People notice that you always say green. Yes, it's a business color, but it also
one of my favorite colors. Mine is blue and green. Yes, it is. So I'm like,
so it's emerald green. Yes, emerald green. So emerald.
And so no, but I just want to tell you, I send my deathly prayers for strength and continuous strength and understanding because that's a lifelong journey you have to go through when you have an abortion. I know women that had an abortion when they was like 14 and they in their mid 40s, like me, and they still dealing with that.
Yeah, I dealt with that. That's why I was going to encourage women to forgive themselves. To forgive themselves. I mean, we all have different reasons why. Some of them came through rape. Some of them come through they were young and got pregnant. They were irresponsible, fear. They say something happened with the baby. I mean, it was various reasons why people end up having an abortion. But I was just want to say to women out there to forgive yourself. God has forgiven you. You ask for forgiveness, you repent, receive it. And sometimes it's the hardest thing to just receive. Sometimes we want to condemn ourselves to make ourselves feel better. Like, oh, I did it wrong, so I deserve to be punished.
Can you talk about that for a second for the women out there? How do you receive it? Like, can you explain to women how? Because some people don't know how to receive. So I'm glad you mentioned. Like, some people don't understand when the blessing is right there in front of them and they just don't, like it's like the blessing is coming through that door and they holding that door shut because they stuck where they at. So can you talk
Mhm.
about that? So how do you do it? How do Coach Honey give us some tips on how Coach Honey got through it and learned how to do that?
How I learned to receive is what it's being humble. It's really not allowing pride to be there. Because usually, I'm gonna be honest, and I'm gonna just be straight up. Now, this honey gonna be straight up for a second. If you can't receive, it's usually because pride is there. That is it. And pride is a shield. Pride has multiple. That's what it says. It has so many scales. I mean, it's like you got to get through this and this before you get to pride. It may be rejection, it may be hurt, it may be fear, maybe low self-esteem. These are all scales before you can probably get to pride. But pride is the biggest thing. But if you can deal with get these other things out of the way and move pride and ego out of the way, you can receive. Sometimes people, like you said, the blessing come at your door. Sometimes people don't want to receive blessing because they rather be the giver, and it makes them look less than. They got to be just trying to receive something. That's a larger statement I'm making, not necessarily about abortion, but it's a larger statement. But as far as abortion is concerned, it's just to receive it, just be open to receive God's love and mercy, receive God's kindness, and forgiving yourself. I think when people forgive themselves, it opens them up to receive because their heart is hardened. Because if they have forgiven themselves, there's a hardness in their heart. There's a hardness in their heart right there. And as soon as they let that blockage be removed, then they can be able to receive. It's almost like somebody's trying to, like you said, open the door. The door is closed. How's somebody gonna get in the door, right? It's blocked. So you can't get through because the door is closed. It's blocking you. It's a separation. Same thing if God is trying to give you something, you got a hardness there, as we know it, how can anything penetrate through there? How can you receive and you block? It's like this, stop. Don't come through. No, no, no. I don't want to receive that. No, nope, nope, stop. So you got this stop sign, this shield there that's blocking you to receive. And so that person, right there, once again, healing and deliverance is so needed. It's needed, and they have to want to receive it. And it has to get to a place where a woman or a man, but we're talking about women right now, want to be healed. That means they're crying out for healing. Is there someone who ain't crying out, who don't care? They've been stubborn and their heart is hard. That's how come they don't want to receive and they can't receive it. And they may say, well, my heart ain't hard. I'm not stubborn. But there's a blockage there, ma'am. There is, sis. There is. You may not think it is, or you may not want to believe it is, but it is, because the moment you let that go and you let go the pain, you forgive yourself, you receive forgiveness, you receive love, you start to let that it'll come in and it'll ooze that away. Which is why I always tell people, eat the honey and release the honey. I say that often. I say, eat the honey, eat the honey. That means you gotta eat something, you gotta receive it. That means you let that honey get in. So I'm saying the honey is a play on words. I use it in multiple things. I'm telling you, multiple things, because it works. And so I said, just eat the honey, y'all. Remember, we accomplish much and we go further with honey than vinegar. Life is sweeter when we add honey. So that's why. And when God gave me the honey, he always reminded me. Even now, I remember him saying, the honey is just not for you, my daughter. It's for my sons and my daughters. So that's why the honey is there. That's why. And so that's why I would say to a person who don't want to receive, eat the honey, sis. Eat the honey.
I like that. I like that. Eat the honey. I like what she said. Eat the honey, sis. Eat the honey. I like no, but I like how you was talking about how you allowed yourself to receive things, you know. And I think that even goes to a lot of women out there, even me, Queen A at times, you know what I mean? Because especially when you used to being in a like, especially if you're a single mom, if you've been a single mom for so long, right? Single women out there, listen up. We are
Hello.
we are very stubborn. We're bullheaded.
Bullhead strong. That's another reason why I wrote the book. That's another reason why I wrote the book. So the book, if you read the book, it talks about that. Remember, I said the subtitle is help 7 keys to beautify the overly aggressive to become a virtual honeybee lady. And I use the example of how I watched my mother and father split when I was 15 years old, and I watched my mother become a mother and a father. She was the authoritative figure, and she was the nurturing figure, wrapped in one. So I always thought I have to be strong, bullheaded, aggressive, strong. You can't tell me nothing. Black women, black power. It was all of that, girl. And I didn't know how to be feminine. And I would be feminine because as a girly girl, but I had this almost overbearingness about me at times. And my ex-husband used to say this. He said, "Why you always like ready for a fight? Why you like you know, you know what that means?"
I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, because I was always and you know what that means. So
You
you
always
sitting on ready. You
yeah.
sitting on ready to whatever goes down. Do I'm ready. It was that kind of posture. Even sometimes when I wasn't trying to be, because I was so conditioned and so that way, it was almost coming out of me. You can tell when somebody's hurt or broken. You can tell that from one more minute. They just have a way about them. You can see in their eyes, their heart, something they always reveal it. So that was me, but I was blind to it. I was blind to how I came across to people and how I presented myself to people. So I was ignorant to that for many years. And so it was almost like a residue of that. Even though I would be close to the Lord, it was still like a residue there. So, however, but the book I addressed that. I addressed how we as women are getting too masculine, and the men was getting too feminine. Oh, I talk about that in the book. Because man, and a lot of times that, a lot of that in terms of the women is because we have got so independent. So independent. We go to a culture, a society that wants us to be so independent. We don't need a man for anything. And it's make us think that we could be, it's okay to be the man and the woman. No, we need to be back to women. Yes. And let the men be men. And the women, we be women.
Yes. And I gotta tell y'all some funny story. So when me and Coach Honey first met, and I gotta tell him this, right? So you can tell both of us are very strong women, right? So when we first got on the phone, like we bumped heads a lot, right, Coach Honey? And I want to say this to say that it's okay. And I want to use this example because when me and Coach Honey first got on the phone, we bumped heads because I wasn't clear on things, she wasn't clear on things. It was like a whole misunderstanding on the first day, on the first round with us, right? But I want to tell women that it's okay to bump heads and still say, okay, let's pull back, let's revamp. How we gonna do this? Like now in this and still be okay with each other. Because what we're seeing nowadays, and that's why I want to use this example, is people bump heads and they walk away from each other and they don't like each other and they got attitudes with each other over just something simple like just a disagreement, what we had on the phone, right? And people just they don't even want to deal with each other no more. And it's like, no, that's life. And it's like one thing we all have to understand is we are all individuals for a reason. So we all wasn't raised the same. We all don't think the same. We all don't value the same things. There are so many, I can go on and on and on about us being individuals, but that's what makes us individuals. But in that, one thing I learned on that call is that it's very important to sit back because I learned so much from Coach Honey. So I'm about to give her flowers right here, y'all. So I learned so much from Coach Honey, right? Because even through going through that, right? I gotta tell y'all, she didn't have to be on this podcast. So this is why I want to talk about Coach Honey and her being sweeter than, how she was talking about, life is sweeter when you add honey in it. So I want to talk about how she really truly lives that, and her honey for a second.
Let me try.
Asked her, she didn't have to jump on this podcast. She could have said, what's this? I don't like attitude. I don't like how we butt heads, whatever the case may be. And right? She could have did all that. You know what I mean? Whatever the case. So I really want to let you all know that for me, I want to let her know how much I appreciate her still being on here and how I wanted to wait until I told the world on the podcast this because a lot of women can't do this. They don't give each other their flowers while we're alive, right? And say, what, hey, sis, I might have been wrong. I might have came at you the wrong way on the phone, and maybe it was me, right? A lot of people are scared to say that. And so I wanted to say that on the podcast because of the incidents that me and Coach Honey had. So people can see that it's okay to bump heads and it's okay to say, sis, hey, you know what? Maybe it was me. Right, because I know I'm hard headed. Let me tell y'all this. Y'all listen to me enough. Y'all know I'm very strong willed and hard headed. And sometimes I have to take a step back, because, yeah, I'm a clarity coach, but I can gain clarity too. Let me say that again. I'm a clarity coach, but I can gain clarity too. Okay. Don't get it twisted. I don't get all the answers. That's how I gain my clarity because I do my research and I learn from others like Coach Honey as well. Process. So I just want to tell y'all that she's not only just saying that life is sweeter when you add honey, she is honey. She's walking around sweet as can be. So if Y'all like really listen to what she's saying. Just listen to the stories from her divorce to the abortion to just everything she have just talked about being on here. So take this. And now I want to talk to you all about, I want her to tell you all about what she does. Listen to her very carefully when she talks to you all about what she does. Because you might need her. You don't know when you may need somebody. Sometimes we don't listen, and it's the advice that we definitely needed. So I just want y'all to sit back and just listen to her explain to you all what she does for a living. Just in case you might need Coach Honey now. All right. Your life might need to be a little sweeter. All right, that's all I got, Coach Honey. I'm gonna say take it over.
Oh wow! First of all, thank you. I wasn't expecting that. I didn't see that coming at all, like at all. And we did not agree. We bumped heads, and I started to say myself, maybe I must have said something. Lord, forgive me for that. I don't want to come off mean and wrong and allow my heart to harbor that, because at the end of the day, the reality, the truth of the matter is that at first I was like, I don't know if I'm doing her show. That was my human reaction at first. After that, I was like, I don't know about that, and I said no. And Lord checked me and say, honey. And so I had to eat my own words. And I believe in being an example. And I believe in not harboring any unforgiveness and bitterness. I stand by that. Like, I don't just say it because it sounds good, but it is truth. But I want to walk that out. And I always want to be an example in everything I say and everything I do, no matter what, no matter who. And so when I reached out, I said, Lolo, I'm going to be on that show. I told her I'm going to be on that show. I'm going to keep my word. That's character. That's integrity. I value that. And I said, no, because I might have did something wrong. I think this might have been a misunderstanding. We both wasn't seeing eye to eye. So I took ownership of that too. I want you to know it wasn't just you. Like, I gave clarity too. I probably was wrong. We both was probably wrong. But at the end of the day, when we got a chance to come back together, when we spoke prior to this, it was almost as if nothing ever happened.
It was. It truly
It
was.
was like if there was no, it was like if there was no bump in the road along the journey. It was smooth as smooth can be. And it was just like, okay, this is what's up. And I was so glad that I allowed my heart, because sometimes things happen, and we have to, and things happen to all of us. And we have to stop for a moment and say, okay, wait a minute now. Hold on now. Am I allowing resentment to come into my heart? And I'm like, oh, I don't like her. I don't like him. Oh, I don't know about that. And fold our arms up and go about our day and be harboring in our heart. Well, we never dealt with that over there. So I'm big on let's deal, let's heal. And I used to ask the Lord, help my heart heal. So I would encourage anybody out there who's dealing with hurt or disappointment or anger, ask God to heal your heart. Ask him to heal your heart. Heal it. If somebody offended you and they disappointed you, ask God to heal my heart. Because we can't stop the pain, how it makes us feel. We're human. But what we can do is ask God to heal. The moment it happened, ask God to heal your heart. And watch God heal your heart. Watch. I'm a witness. But what I do, now is outside of coaching, outside of traveling, speaking, doing workshops, I do all those different things. But what I'm focused on now as well is empowering families where I are living. I'm in the world of finances, and I help people get on the path of wealth creation. Not just have generational wealth, but generational income. So let's talk about what is generational income, Shante. That's when you get to multiply that income. That means income is not single-handed. What I was dealing with you guys, with me telling y'all I was out of work several times over, it's because I was dealing with single-handed income. Multiple-handed income, things multiplies. It's outside of you. It's independent of you. It's income that you own. It's income that you can transfer. So let's case in point. Anyone knows like a daycare provider? A daycare provider cannot transfer their income to their family. For example, someone who, another one is example. I mean, anything, you name anyone, even a coach. I coach. I cannot transfer my income to my children. I can transfer the business, and who knows that I got to pay tax on it, because there's what I'm talking to you all about. You don't have to even pay tax on it. That's a whole other conversation. And it's lots of tax advantages for you, all you business entrepreneurs out there too, and people who work. But however, in the realm of generational income, that is where you get to transfer that same income. So for case in point, I own my own business, right? So I get to transfer that income to one of my children, whether my daughter, whether either one of my sons. That means if I'm making, let's say $500 million, I can transfer that $500 million and all the income that was going to be coming to me that month, that next month, will transfer right to my child, whichever child I want to give it to. That's called generational income. Generational wealth is, let's say I got, $500 million plus I got this account over here, this account over here, and God is money saved. So when I leave, they're gonna get that money. That's generational wealth. But generational income is what I'm currently making is I'm transferring. It's like you work a job. If your job will tell you to go, or you want to quit your job, your income will start right there. They're not gonna keep paying you, and you ain't there no more, right? That means that income is not going no further. But what I'm talking to people about, what I help families with, is for the income to go further. As well as I talk to them about savings, multiplying your money, compounding, our philosophies. Talk about multi-handed self-improvement. It's called the new art of living. It's my mission. It's my passion that I'm empowering families. Starting tonight, I have an event. I have some more coming up this week. Next week, I'm going around the country. We're going around the country, and we're talking about families to empower them with our 3 philosophies of multi-handed income, 10%, 3 rules, 3 goals, which the 3 rules is how your money works. So people call me, I put the honey in the money, because I teach people how money works. It's one thing to make money, but it's another thing when you know how money works. A lot of times, like me, in my ignorance, I did not know how money works. So that's why I'm very passionate and compassionate on telling people how money works. Know the rule of the game. You want to know how money works, you got to know the rules. Because it's principles that don't never change. I don't care if you're white, black, Hispanic, Latino, African, Asian, you name it. Asian, you name it. Latino, you name it. Same rules apply to every race. I just want people to know that it's not a race thing. It's just know who know the rules, and not as I say playing by the rules, but playing by the principles of the rules. That makes a difference. And if we don't do that, we've been in this vicious cycle over and over again. And it's not the white man. It's just we just got to come up on our knowledge on how to make the money work for us and not against us, and not point the finger at somebody else. It's just our lack of knowledge. So that's why I'm empowering not just my Black community, but any community who wants to let me speak to them and empower them. It could be their families, it could be a business owner, it could be anybody that wants to get empowered how money works, and then what to do when you know how money works. Then what counts to what? How are you being taxed? Is that tax in your favor or not? So I help educate people on taxes. Talk about taxes. Some taxes, it's like you want to make money. Okay, then how you gonna be taxing that money? Are you okay with how you've been taxing that money? Did you know there's a tax exempt account out there where it's actually tax advantage for you, where you don't have to pay the IRS. See, there's stuff out there that people do know, and some of them don't know, and some of them have ideas, but they don't really understand all of the legalities of everything. So I get to empower families with that, and not only empower, but I get to provide the services. So I'm very passionate about it. I'm sorry, my voice is like went up to like a whole nother degree because you can see I'm very passionate about it.
It's in over your face,
right? Because it was something that I just didn't know, and now I get to go back and pour out on other people. That's the heart of me wanting to give to others. And I'm blessed, and I want to be a blessing. That's my story.
And let me say, you can feel the passion when you speak about it. Like, you can tell when somebody's like passionate, and you might like what you're doing. But when you talk, I can feel it. You can see it. Like, when you start talking about the money, your whole body changed. Like, it was like, yeah, this is it. This is like, so yeah, it's definitely what you stand for. That's definitely where you need to be at. Because, honey, when I say we start talking about finances and how to take, what to do and how to take care of your money and all this, you was like, you be gone when it comes to that. Me, it comes to finances, I'll start like I don't really know too much about but that's why we got Coach Honey here, right? That's why we got put the honey in the money. That's what she helped us do. She gonna help us put the honey in the money. So now I asked you if clarity were a dance move, right? So
yes.
we know how that honey is in that money. And so you said that your movement would be like a Caribbean island, Africa. Can you show us a little I don't know how to go because I don't know what you're talking about.
Like just
show us a little bit.
Yes, I dance. Put the salsa in there. That's the salsa in there. But I just dance and I like to dance. I like to have fun. I like dancing. And so I like that this Caribbean music, island music, African music. I like it a lot. I like the beats. I just like and good wholesome songs. So let me just clarify that. Just good wholesome songs. But yeah, I do like to dance. I do. That would be my thing. Yes. That is my thing. And I dance around the house. I dance wherever I'm at. I dance in church. I dance. Like I like to dance. I dance. Yeah. unapologetically at that.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with it. So if y'all see Coach Honey dancing, mind our business now. She like to dance. Ain't nothing wrong with matter of
Yes.
fact, just get y'all need to start just dancing with her. That's all. You know, if they need to dance, they just need to get on in there and just dance to,
Yes,
you know.
yes,
So
yes.
hey, look at it. Look, she about to start dancing. I love it. Look.
Yeah,
So
I like to
no.
dance.
And
I
your
might move
background
on.
goes great with that kind of dancing. Like with the Caribbean and
Yes,
African movement, your
yes,
background goes
palm
great with
tree.
that.
Yes.
I love it. So
Yes.
before we get up out of here, your signature expertise in three spicy bullets. You said leadership, finance, and relationship. So kind of just give us an overview of each one.
Because entrepreneurship is leadership. That's true. Leadership. It's a leadership thing. Finances. Yeah, I know how your money's working. That was my downfall years ago. I thank God that it's not my story now. It's my testimony. And then the other one was relationship. It's because that was one thing I could do better, both as a mother, as a wife, as a future wife. I always believe in having a healthy relationship. It's always about the relationship. So those are three areas that when I speak to people, those three areas seem to always come out, some form of fashion. Leadership, would be servant leadership, leadership and entrepreneurship, finances, about money, honey and the money, always about those areas I speak a lot about, and then relationships, how to have a good, healthy relationship. At the end of the day, if you don't have a healthy relationship, how is anything else going to be healthy in life, whether it be business or anything, without their healthy relationship, which is family, healthy relationships. So those three areas I dig my teeth in on a consistent basis. I wouldn't say my teeth, I dig my hands in there. I'm like in the trenches. I'm in there, in the trenches, in there. Those three areas, yes. Even I see myself writing books on those in those areas. Like, and even in my first book, covers all three of those areas. It covers
That's
all
all
three.
you've been talking about, really.
I
It's
know.
all the three areas. Everything you touched on today hit every last one of them. So I can believe it. Now, for people who want to follow you, right? Because when people hear this, they're going to need to follow Coach Honey, so they can put honey in their money. People like putting honey in the money. I'm just saying.
I hope
So
so.
tell the people how they can follow you and what platforms you're on.
Okay, so they can, for one, I sent my link, my blue card, my blue e-card. So that has like, you find out who I am, what I do, what services I provide. You can look at reviews, all about me. Leave a review. I appreciate those good reviews. And as well as you can see me on Facebook, Instagram, on Twitter, LinkedIn. I am on TikTok. I do TikTok. I do videos. I mean, I'll do like posts and all that. Thread, X. So I'm on all those social media platforms, YouTube as well. So I'm on all the major ones that I know of. I'm on all those. Like I said, Facebook and IG. And so if you want to find me on those, IG is Shantae L. Adams. So if you go on IG, it's Shantae L. Adams. You go on Facebook, it's Shantae Adams, and so is LinkedIn. Those two are those are two main ones. YouTube and all the other ones. I think X is Shantae Adams. I think it's Shantae Adams, Shantae L. Adams. But the Blue Sky e-card does have all the
That
links.
will be in the description. So they'll be in the description of this video, y'all. So check out the description and make sure y'all click on the link so y'all can make sure.
The link, and then give me your contact. I'll be more than happy to contact you all. So if you leave me your contact, so the link that Queen A is going to share with you all, if you click on that link and leave me your contact, I will contact every person on there, and I will contact you by phone. I'm very personable, very personable. So I will contact you by phone. Say, hey, I got you. You send me a message and let me know how you found it. So if you see this broadcast and you say, well, I saw her on Queen A platform, then I know when I call you, I say, oh, you saw me on Queen A, and so then I know because it asks you that when you leave me your contact. Well, how you know Shantae? You say, hey, I seen her on Queen A's show. I seen her on the Talking.
I love it.
Let them know the truth. Let them know the truth.
Wow, I love it. So now we about to wrap up, you guys. So we about to get up out of here. So before we go, so is there any last words you'd like to say to the viewers?
I would say no matter what's going on, no matter what's happening, you'll never stop smiling. And the reason why I say that to the viewers is because something about when you smile, and I learned because I was never one who used to smile as much as I do. I say it all the time. When you smile, it softens you up. and it softens your heart.
A smile
It
a
softens
day.
you up and it softens your heart. Because I'm telling you, you keep your heart open, keep your heart soft, and keep your heart filled with wisdom. You won't go wrong in life. You'll have joy in the midst of anything and everything that's going on in life. I'm telling you, never stop smiling and always hold on to joy. I'm telling you, these things I've learned, it's the simplest things, but I promise you, it goes a long way.
Oh, that's okay. Hey, I just want to say that it's been amazing. I hope y'all listen to this, and I know y'all got some great inspiration. Y'all got some financial tips. Y'all got some great motivation, and y'all got to put some honey in the money the whole time.
Money and the money.
You know, because life is sweeter when you add what?
Some honey.
Yeah, I mean,
Honey.
I'm just saying. I'm
Add
just
some
saying.
honey.
Add
Life is
some
sweet when you
honey.
add some honey. Listen,
All
add that
right.
honey, y'all. Whatever you do, add that honey. Eat the honey, release the honey.
I
Because I'm
love.
telling you, listen, let me say one more thing.
Yes.
Things will begin to be attracted to me when I start eating and releasing the honey. Opportunities came my way. It's almost like a magnet. You know, that's why you eat honey. Your thing it's like, this is good. Honey attract things, like attract bees. It attract things. Honey attract things. Honey, it tastes good. Honey, I'm telling you, it's a natural thing. I'm saying, but it's also very spiritual. It attracted things to me when I started eating the honey and release it. That means I was pouring it out like a drink offering. And so I would just say to you all, if I had like a second close, it would be to eat the honey and to really eat it and to really, really release it. Watch how things come back to you. You say you reap what you sow, and you will reap it, and it will be good for you. So that's all.
Hey, I love it. I love it, guys. So give it up for Coach Honey again. Now, Coach Honey, I'm just gonna ask you if you feel like leaving a review for
Oh
Queen,
yeah.
a video review. So if you can, and just maybe just 1 minute, under 1 minute, just give your review of Queen A so far.
Now how do I send it to you?
No, you can do it right now. It's gonna be recorded. Cut it out.
Shut.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me now.
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. So Queen A, first of all, this interview has been phenomenal. Thank you for allowing me to first express myself without cutting me off. Sometimes you can be interviewed with people and they kind of cut you short. Thank you for allowing me to process my thoughts. So you ask questions, but you allow the speaker to get opportunity to speak and to share and to express their thoughts. So I definitely, definitely 100% love that and respect you for doing so. The show was phenomenal. It was an ease. It was such an easy effort to it. It was it's seamless, I would say. Just a great show. I look forward to the people coming on, watch. I look forward to other guests coming on. You got to come on, full of energy, full of life that she gives. And she seems so genuinely happy. And I felt that she's genuinely happy for every guest that comes on here, especially for me. I felt the love. So for you all who are on here, thinking about coming on her show, I would encourage you to come on here. You will receive the love and opportunity to show what you do and what you can do to society. So shout out to you, Queen A. Thank you for the opportunity to be a guest on your show. It's an honor and it's a deep privilege, and I'm grateful and I'm humbled by it. God bless you, woman. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Queen. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate you. It's been more than an honor to call you my sister, and I think this is special to me because we didn't get off on the right foot, right? But one thing I could say that it spoke to is how we both are queens. And I say that to say this because, like you said, when we got back together and we talked, it was like we didn't even discuss that. It was like it never happened.
No, we didn't discuss it.
Like
No.
I didn't feel no animosity from you. I didn't have no animosity. Like it was
I
like,
didn't have that either.
so
I
it
did
was
not.
like
I wasn't even thinking about it really. I wasn't even thinking about it no more. It wasn't
me
even
either.
until you brought it out, I said, yeah, that's true. That was true what she said. But I wasn't even thinking about it. Like it was just gone in the wind. I mean, literally gone in the wind.
And that's
It was yesterday's news.
right. You feel me? It was like it never happened. And I want to say that because it ain't a lot of people can't do that. And that makes you a true coach. And like when you say Coach Honey, you live by that. I knew from the second time we got on, and neither one of us, you can tell, like we went about it like it was nothing, like okay, like you would have thought that was the first time we had a conversation, we just
That's 100%.
that was the
Yeah.
first conversation we had since Key Spot or something, so I just want to thank you again for being you. And I can't wait to see the amazing journey that you have that you're going through. I can't wait to see you put the honey in the money. I can't wait to she's going to help me put my honey in the money. She don't even know it yet, but I'm gonna reach out to her to help her. She's got to help me. And without further ado, I'm gonna let you get up off of here. But y'all remember, if nobody else loves y'all, Queen A does. Later.